2 weeks before Christmas, the deal never closed. The seller in Alaska ended up backing out, didn't want to sell. So, man, I was really going into a dark space. But mentally, I started praying more and doing a lot of different things to try to help me stay up. Man, I had contracts, but I had no money, so it was getting low. I was just that was the time to question my faith.
Yeah. We got my man Quan in house today.
What's up, bro?
Quan is my brother, local here in Columbia, man.
Oh yeah.
And he's had an incredible journey from even coming up inside of sports, college scholarships for baseball, right? And then getting into the corporate world, working for FedEx. And it's pretty incredible to see where he's come, found the investment vehicle of wholesaling, right? And then you've literally had to jump in full force to replace the income that you were making at FedEx, right?
Right.
Yeah, welcome on board, bro.
First and foremost, man, I want to shout you out. Thank you for all that you've done for me. Previous deals we've done before, you've been the man of your word. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to come on your podcast.
Bro, 100%. We've been talking about it for a minute.
Yeah, for a minute. We had to get it going first, man. I got to have a testimony to tell before I can give it.
Yeah, straight up, man. Well, let's dive in deep, man. I want to talk about you coming up, right, because you grew up in a smaller town. Right. Avid sports player, avid athlete. Let's talk about where it all started, man.
Well, honestly, man, I grew up in a small town, Darlington, South Carolina, about an hour away from here. Pretty crazy lifestyle how I grew up, but just a long story short, I grew up, I have to find out who my father was at just 18 years old. So, just to reflect, my life has just been, I've been grateful to have multiple people in my life as well, but, mentally, and it does something to you to find out who your father is at 18. But, I was lucky to get into sports. Baseball and football were my main two sports I excelled at. Had a baseball scholarship to play JUCO. Actually went on to JUCO and played 2 years there at USC Sumter, then went on to USCB. And man, I actually had my daughter during the time of USCB on a scholarship as well, and came across YouTube. A old buddy of mine from back home referred me to wholesaling, and at the time I was just worried about I really thought I was going to make it to the league, because I went NAIA for baseball, going into my second school. So just that thought of just thinking, oh man, I'm not going pro anymore. I just knew my time was limited, so I had to figure something out. I got a daughter, I got my bills in school still. It's just overwhelming. So he introduced YouTube to me, wholesaling real estate, and ever since then, man, I kind of took it and studied it and finished school along with it. So here I am now.
That's incredible, man. So in the process, right, you're playing ball, all your sights were set on that, right? You were focused, like from a child growing up, you invested every hour outside of school and practicing, honing in your craft, right? And just have it all taken away like that.
Yep. So
take something out of you, right?
It does something to you. It actually gives you that extra drive and push to, if I could do one thing in sports, I can do it in another field or adventure.
Yeah.
So I kind of took that mindset and I worked on my skill. I crafted wholesaling real estate for those years. I had to, a year and a half I had to finish school. I just crafted, until I was ready to step out there, and here I am.
Yeah, let's talk about the first couple deals.
Okay.
Like, what was it like? How did you find the first deal? How did the progression of that, how'd the conversation with the seller go? Like, highlight that, what it was like, how you found it.
Well, to lead up to the first deal, during COVID 2020, it actually got bad that year. I was still in school as well. I believe that May we got released. No, March, I believe. Maybe it was March. We got released. Baseball season was over. It actually wasn't over. They just ended it there and they sent us home due to COVID. So I kind of looked at it as a sign, because I'm like, I didn't get to finish my senior year, and they actually gave me another year to redshirt. So they give me an extra year due to COVID. I had a decision to either go back that following fall, or I knew in my heart I wanted to do real estate, and I told myself I'll move to Columbia and get started. So I actually did that, during the summer of 2020. I was actually working FedEx as well, so I became full time over the summer. Over the summer, during full time, I actually was still driving for dollars. Looking up, trying to get my first deal, man. Just hungry, man. Just can't, just wouldn't give up. As time goes, I end up getting a house. I was sending out text messages. I actually caught COVID. That month of trying to get a deal as well. It was August. I actually got my full-time job at FedEx August. No, it was March. It was in April, and after April, 2 months later, I actually got my first deal. And I actually had COVID while I was getting my first deal.
Dang.
So I was actually in the bed just sending out text messages, and the guy said he'd consider an offer, and I actually made an offer, and I actually conversated the whole time with him through text messages.
That's crazy.
And the only time I met him was to show the buyers, and then that was it.
That's what's up, man.
So
how did that feel? Like in that season, were you nervous?
I was, because I was like, my first deal, I could make 5 figures, but a lot of people always say you can't count the money until it's in your hands. And that's what I was doing. So I was getting kind of nervous, like didn't know what to do. So I actually knew it was a good deal. I actually left a lot of money on the table. I knew it was a good deal. I was just so anxious. I actually asked for help. So I actually reached out, ended up JVing with the guy, and he ended up selling it to one of his buddies, and we actually missed out on like probably 15 grand.
Yeah.
So, lessons learned there as you go in progress. But yeah, first deal.
When did we link up?
Actually, it was my second deal.
Yeah.
That September, that was my first deal. That's actually when it's closed. I actually had a deal out. I got on the contract in January. We linked up around January, February. Had a deal, and we actually, closed on it.
Was that was the one that Kirby linked up with you, right? She's like, hey, I'd love to connect and get it going. She just facilitated it. We could have never met if it wasn't for that, right?
Never met. That was it right there. Start of a great friendship.
That's incredible. Yeah.
So that was journey. Then during that journey, I also had a full-time job, as mentioned. I was a manager for this contractor, FedEx, and I pretty much busted my tail for him, in his business, and just didn't realize I was burning out. And then you're
making good money though, right?
Yeah, making good money. I got the time to do real estate, but I couldn't show him that I was doing real estate at the same time. Reason is, after I closed my first deal, I was so happy. I started showing them, and you can kind of sense the energy people give off on you when you show them someone you're working for that you're doing something outside of their business. So it went like that.
You knew from that moment that the tide had shifted, right?
Yep.
From that moment on, you didn't know when it was going to happen, but there's going to have to be a change. Eventually, I'm going to have to jump ship.
Yep. That's right.
So from the time that you brought that to his desk, right, you guys had the conversation, you're excited about it. So like, hey, I'm winning, like this is big, right? And in the back of his heart, he's like, man, it's only a matter of time. So how long from that initial conversation until the time that you actually had to jump ship? And what did that look like? How did it happen that you ended up leaving your corporate job?
After we did that deal together in February, that next month, March, I actually closed the biggest wholesale deal I ever did. And me, too happy, man. He always asked, how's business going? Going? I never was, I never would not tell him how is it going. Yeah, it's going good. And I showed him that check. His eyes lit up, and from that moment, I knew. Like I pretty much had to tell him like, hey, soon I'm gonna focus on this, but I'm gonna keep this as long as possible. I will give you a heads up. That was the initial conversation, and he was willing to help me out, and we conversated about it and what was best for me and his business, and things progress, and I haven't. He actually started working me more and harder where I didn't have the time to kind of do real estate. So here it is, March. I closed the deal. I haven't closed the deal since September of 2021, actually. The next year, no, 2021, that's right. September. I can finally close another deal. And on my mirror, I just want to get off topic for a minute. On my mirror, I do affirmations, and I always write things down what I want.
Yeah.
And that beginning of the year, I had a goal to not be at FedEx by peak season of 2021.
So right before summer, huh? Like springtime.
Yeah. Near Christmas. It's near Christmas time. Peak season where they're constantly working. So I had it on my mirror that I wasn't going to be there anymore. And just a coincidence, October, he came to me one morning. I was coming in there, and he actually set me to the side and said he was going to demote me. And I was just totally out of the blue. I wasn't expecting that or anything. And I asked him why. He really wasn't giving me an explanation. It was either you was taking business calls while you was on my route. You wasn't focused. You was focused on my business and not your business. You wasn't focused on my business and just your business. So I'm just going to demote you down, and I can handle it myself.
Dang.
So
that was his hint. Like that was the door starting to open where you're like, it's all or nothing.
That's it. And he actually expected me to react in a negative way. I actually was like, I was trying to understand, like, okay. So I couldn't process it at first. I was like, okay, I understand. It's your business. I can't get mad. You built your own table. I can't get mad. So I took that in, and, a day later, I couldn't take it. I was just wanted to know the real reason, man. I just know the real reason. And he never would kind of tell me. He was like, you want to know the real reason? You're not $70,000 in credit card debt. Just going into what he's going through his business to, advocate that he had to let me go. So, I was like, well, I'm not going to sugarcoat telling your employees who I was managing that the reason I'm going to tell them the truth. You let me go because the reason I was not focused on your business. So he didn't like that. He said, oh yeah, well, I don't have a job for you anymore. And then, I shook his hand like a man and walked out, and never looked back ever since.
So what was that like? Just like that conversation happened, right? And then boom, you don't have the consistent income, at least that you could count on, right? Now you gotta you eat what you kill.
Yep.
Right. You gotta go out there and hunt. So what was the date when that happened?
October 14th.
Yeah.
2021.
So October until even into 2022, right? There was a season where it was dry, right? Winter months. Winter was slower on our side too, bro. Like across the board, it just slowed down, bro.
It did.
So, was there times that you started to question your calling, question the journey?
I didn't, because right away, a week after I lost that job, I got a contract on a house. So I just knew. I was like, this is it. I got it inspected. Everything's going smooth. Here comes September around. We're getting the closing date set. No, November comes around. I'm sorry. Getting the closing date set. Just a few pushbacks. Still getting pushback. Title issues. Getting pushback. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah.
Then I had to solve a problem with the seller, with the brother somewhere in Alaska. Had to get him on the phone after they haven't been speaking for 6 years, and just solving problems as we do as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, the bigger the problem, the bigger the check. And I'm just thinking like, I'm not worried about FedEx anymore. Come December, the deal still haven't closed. So I'm thinking like, oh man, you know, Christmas coming up. I'm gonna be okay. Just kept in the faith, and a little bit of income I did have saved. You know, I was just living off of that and faith and prayer, man. And so, come 2 weeks before Christmas, the deal never closed. The seller in Alaska ended up backing out. Didn't want to sell. So, man, I was really going into a dark space,
Yeah.
but you know, mentally, I started praying more, and you know, doing a lot of different things to try to help me stay up, man. And that was really the darkest moment, that where I questioned myself, and my back was against the wall. I had Christmas coming up, rent coming up the week
yeah.
after. I had to. And speaking of December, I actually contracted 7 properties at the time. So, man, I had contracts, but I had no money. So it was getting low. I was just, that was the time to question my faith.
Yeah.